Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is another Martial Monday. We will be talking about the Paladin Sacred Oath of the Watchers.
The Oath of the Watchers binds paladins to protect the mortal realm from the predations of extraplanar creatures. You are holding the gate against the demons of hell as equally as you're holding the gate against the angels above, as equally as you're holding the gates from, like, the elementals from pouring in.
Yeah, maybe just open all the gates and let them fight it out.
Yeah. Or, like, maybe the material plane is the one that's really spilling over everywhere and causing some problems. There are a lot of wizards doing some weird things and conjuring meteor swarms and stuff that could be the problem, actually, perhaps. What's important, though, is that, like, this, generally speaking, is supposed to be themed as the, defender of the material. This is akin to the Ranger Conclave Horizon Walker, where your objective is to, like, protect and find the special zones of different creatures and stuff like that.
That's exactly what it reminded me of, and that's why I'm not super keen on this oath. I think it's really cool if your DM says, "Hey, I've got this campaign I want to run. I need one of you guys to be an Oath of the Watchers paladin."
Like,
And then, but
this
otherwise, not really.
this feels like it's something where you need an actual organization for this to work with. This doesn't really feel much to me like it's something like you swear a general creed to. So, like, with Oath of Vengeance, you don't have to swear to anyone an Oath of Vengeance. You swear on the person you're going to kill an Oath of Vengeance, right? Oath of Devotion is more of a moral belief. With the Watchers, I feel like it's more of a concerted front, right? This feels like a group of people coming together to defend the plane more so than an oath. That's kind of nitpicking.
I mean, it's even the Watchers. It's the Wall in Game of Thrones. Yeah. There is a threat, an ever-present threat on the other side, which depending on your DM and your table, there might not be legions of aberrations, chomping at the bit to get through the planar walls.
Even if there are, like, maybe you just reflavor a different Paladin Oath, because this one I'm not super into either for mechanical reasons. I think there's a lot of garbage here, which is unfortunate. So, like I said, with all the other Paladin Oaths that we've done up to this point, their Oath spells are really important for giving Paladins a new avenue, new direction to do. You can kind of think of them like Eldritch Knights get a very small subset of wizard spells. That's enough to make them feel like an entirely different class than base fighter. It's just a little bit of wizard spell. Same with not Spell Thief, the Arcane Trickster. It's got a little bit of magic that makes it very different than the rest of what Rogue's doing. And Oath spells kind of give Paladins some new select spells that take them out of the core Paladin stuff and give them different class options. So, like, this one, for example, gets Moonbeam, which is iconically a druid spell. That list is kind of important for defining what you do, and what these people do evidently is cast bad spells, because you get
that's really feast or famine.
It really is. So their first level options, and another important thing to remember, is they're not ritual casters, which means you have to retail pay the full spell slot for these, is Alarm and Detect Magic. And I like Detect Magic. I really don't like it if I'm not ritual casting it. I don't want to spend spell slots, especially in the early tiers, doing that, especially because I can just Divine Smite. Like, that's a pretty high cost. What do you think about Alarm?
It's one of those that, like, I don't know, like, low levels, if you're out in the woods and you don't have enough people to keep watch or they're unreliable, set up an alarm spell and hope for the best. Not something I'm excited to be getting as a oath spell.
Yeah, it's also the kind of thing, right, where if that does come up, because it's a ritual spell, you go, oh, we just need 10 minutes, and it's kind of free. If you're a paladin, there's almost no shot at third level you're getting to another long rest and have any spells remaining. You get 3. They're not going to be sticking around whenever you Divine Smite, just sitting right there staring at you to be like, you could have a sweet 2d8 damage right now. So, like, yeah, this hot trash. Next we get Moonbeam, which we've talked. Our Moonbeam video, I think, is pretty encompassing as to, like, the actual utility of it. I don't think it's great. I think it's definitely the most interesting spell here, though. That's not entirely true. We'll get to the most interesting spell of them. Okay. I think there's one more interesting spell than this on the entire list for them. Moonbeam is kind of a close second. It's an area control damage spell, kind of, so you can, like, stick this down on something you're fighting and then wail on it a whole bunch. It would pair really well with something like Ensnaring Strike, which they don't get. So you're kind of left with this. I guess not, because Ensnaring Strike takes concentration. So you would need some other way to kind of maintain and keep them in place. Then hypothetically, Moonbeam, then lock it down. That could be a cute play pattern. And the other option you get is See Invisibility, which is definitely at its best as an oath spell, because you don't necessarily know when you need to prepare it. So maybe you can be like, oh, surprise, invisible thing, but I got an oath spell for it. And then you turn on the eyesight and you can see it now. And I'm still not thrilled with how that works. And we've gone over the dumb rules that go along with invisibility and see invisibility and stuff. So like,
Yeah, that takes a lot of wind out of the spell's sails.
yeah, it's like, it doesn't even say that. It just says you can see invisible creatures. They still benefit from being invisible, which is profoundly stupid. It's unbelievably stupid.
I mean, this. I don't know. I mean, I guess the only thing this benefits you, like, if you can see them, now you can target them with a spell.
Yeah, and you can like technically alert the party if invisible creatures are hard to like pin down space wise. It's in this space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
and then
pretty
things can
sure,
attack
like
it.
the whole invisibility rules, like unless they're hiding, everybody knows where the creature is. Like,
Which is
I
dumb.
know.
It's dumb. This entire rule set for invisibility is dumb, and I hope we see a fix for it. And see invisibility for that reason is also just like, it's bad. It's not a good spell, and you don't want to spend second level spell slots on it. Now, third level I think is the most interesting spell they get, and they get Counterspell. I like this. I would like this subclass a lot more if there was another Paladin oath that got Counterspell. There is. So we're kind of left going, well, this isn't even like a unique thing it gets anymore. This is just on this spell list. Yeah. They're good against wizards. They're good against mages, and that's great. It's definitely kind of fills them into this niche of anti-magic, which I'm a fan of, especially if the archetype's supposed to be aimed at countering extraplanar threats. Then being anti-magic seems like a pretty easy route to go there. But then they also get non-detection, which is unusably bad. So that's great, I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe there's some
Not for non-detection, for sure.
Yeah.
Counterspell at least is like, that'll take you into the upper tiers and you'll be pretty happy. You'll always have it on your character sheet, which is I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
These really are like, these remaining three are like, wow, one's unusable and one is great. 13th level is Aura of Purity and Banishment. Banishment's great. Aura of Purity is not. And then the 17th level, I'm sorry, because it couldn't be 15th level. It has to be the absolute highest here. Is Hold Monster, which is great, and Scrying, which is not. But at least like Scrying is kind of flavorfully more fitting to me than something like Aura of Purity or Non-Detection is. I guess Non-Detection technically is flavorfully fitting because you're like, things can't find me on this plane if they're hunting me, but your whole job is to find things. I didn't know you were that worried about them knowing where you were, but it's overall the most important weight that this list has is definitely the 3rd, 5th, and 9th level, right? Those are the ones you're going to be using the longest. Those are the spells that you're going to have to lean on the heaviest. And I really only care about Counterspell on this list out of this entirety, right? Like maybe you find some cute things to do with Moonbeam, which is kind of iffy, but like for the rest of it, I don't want any of this on my character sheet.
If you make it to 17th level, I like Hold Monster.
Yeah, me too, but are you going to be that excited at 17th
Banishment is flavorfully fitting.
Agreed, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you have to play 13th level to get a 4th level spell that the wizard like, oh, this is just a good spell I've had on my sheet since 6 levels ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking any levels in this.
Yeah, neither.
So whatever.
We also then go on to the Channel Divinity. So the O spells were a rough start. Does it get better? You get Watcher's Will. So once per short rest, you can use a Channel Divinity to invest your presence with the warding power of your fate. As an action, use the number of creatures you can see within 30 feet of you, a number equal to your charisma modifier. So you pick like if your charisma mod is +2, you pick 2 things. For a minute, they have advantage on int, wiz, and charisma saving throws. Okay. A couple people get advantage on wiz, charisma saving throws. It has to take your action. It only lasts a minute, which means you kind of have to do prep round going into the fight where you know these are going to come up for it to really get its most juice. But if that ever happens, it is pretty good. Especially once per short rest. I think a lot of the time you're just going to be thrown into a fight against something with it, and you're going to be like, oh, I definitely can't spend an action using this. So I guess you're just going to have to make the save regular, and you're going to have to deal with that. Because there's, like, I'm not often going to want to spend a turn in combat doing this. And in those comments where you're just trying to thrust into it, right? It's a good chance they went before you because you're a paladin, so you don't have the highest dex. Your initiative isn't necessarily super high, so you don't necessarily even have the ability to get down Watcher's Will before this happens. It had like an hour duration. Now we'd be talking about a feature. Minute duration is quite a bit worse. Still middle.
you do have something to bump your initiative coming up later though.
Yeah,
So.
that's notable. We might cut that might cut, and I'm never a proponent of initiative being good. It making a mediocre feature slightly better doesn't bump it up much for me. We got the other one is Abjure the Extraplanar. So using your Channel Divinity as an action, you present your holy symbol to each aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, or fiend within 30 feet of you that can hear you, makes a whiz save, and is turned on a failed save.
What is turned?
Well, this should be a condition, as I say every single time, but it isn't. So instead, we give this little blurb of text, which is a turn creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it can't willingly end its move in a space within 30 feet of you. Then, for its action, it can only use the dash action to try to escape from an effect that prevents it from moving. So it can only move away from you or try to escape an inability to move. If there's nowhere to move, it just takes the dodge action. And because there's no subsequent saves after the first one, Abjure the Extraplanar is probably one of, if not the best turn effect in the game. It is a huge laundry list of creatures. It doesn't get any extra bonuses besides turning, but turning is already really, really, really good. So you can just be like, in any encounters against these extraplanar things, I'm going to be awesome. And that's kind of the entire subclass in that singular line of text. I think the bulk of what you're going to care about here is Abjure the Extraplanar.
Yeah.
As we move forward, there's not a lot left.
If that comes with a big caveat though. If you're meeting a bunch of extraplanar stuff.
Yeah.
Which is not a guarantee unless you talk about this with your DM before you take this the subclass.
Yeah, this one even more so than Devotion is like this only works at tables where I can regularly use this feature. Now, again, it does have 5 different enemy types. I do think a lot of D&D revolves around getting a monster of the week, kind of varying things in dungeons. The dungeon master pointing to the monster being like, oh, that looks cool. I don't really care if it doesn't fit the current theme of the campaign. There's going to be, an aberration in this dungeon, a gibbering mouther or whatever. There's going to be some celestial evil. I guess celestial's the harder one, but like elementals are really easy. They're all over the place. They make great minions. Fiends and fae are very common minions that you'll see all over the place. Yeah. So I do think like most adventures will get some use out of this, but because it's all you get, you really want it to be every adventure you get something out of this. We gonna move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, we got Aura of the Sentinel at 7th level, which I think is in contention for one of the worst auras in the game, but there is a worse one, so this is at 7th level. You are emit an aura of alertness while you aren't incapacitated. You and any creatures of your choice within 10 feet. If you roll initiative, you get a bonus equal to your efficiency bonus.
I'm
Plus
a
4?
lot bigger on initiative than you are. I think the opportunity to go sooner lets you do some of the big things that will mitigate the the damage and the effects that your opponents could wield. Hit first, hit hard. However, that's if you have something big and cool to do. So hopefully one of your party team members, not
has
you,
something cool to do, because you certainly don't.
Yeah. So, but I do like that it's not just you that gets the initiative bump. It's
for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's if you can get the whole squad to group up like this, and you're like, you put this in a group that's goal is to do the ambush thing well, right? You put this on a party that's close to brigands, where you've got like an assassin rogue, a gloomstalker ranger, maybe you've got I would say diviner wizard because they're good at everything, but like you got some other characters that are good at and want to go first. This goes in that as a supportive element of that group. It doesn't necessarily have all of the explosive power that group tends to want. So like the Gloomstalker and the Assassin want to just nug something once and walk away. You're still a Paladin though, base level. So maybe you're just fine being like, I'll take a 3-level dip in Champion Fighter or a 2-level dip in Hexblade and just do like a ka-pa-pa-pa and then just crit something to death. That could be cute. So I think if you're aiming to do the we fight first and get a bonus like free round in combat, and we basically just take 2 turns before the enemy team goes, this is a feature that goes into that specific party composition. I don't think most parties are that party composition, and thus Aura of the Sentinel is going to have a lot less value for an average table, especially because like it doesn't give you any defensive bonuses for being around the Paladin, which means you're setting yourself up in fireball formation. And if you're foregoing movement considerations and like positioning prior to a fight to get this bonus, I'm really, really low on it. So you have to be committed with other melee ranged characters basically to get any benefit from it at all. I don't know. I think there's a lot more hiccups here than it looks.
Yeah, maybe let me ask you a question. Will this stack with other initiative bonus
If you've got the
things?
alert
Okay.
feat, this will stack right on
Okay.
top of that. If you want to
All
have
right.
plus 11 your initiative and go first in most encounters, this will do that for you.
All right. Well, if in the unlikely party build scenario, you're trying to get a party that where initiative is a priority, this could be a part of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're doing like starting at like mid tier, if you're doing like a 9th level version of the game, coming in with Aura of the Sentinel, Abjure, the Extraplanar, and Counterspell on your Paladin is an interesting package, at least. Like, these 3 abilities could go in some tables where you aren't starting at level 1, but you're already starting in the mid game, and I could see this character being a lot more functional there. But just because of how abysmal your 3rd and 5th level spells are, like, I don't really see this being something I want to be doing in the early game for sure. And
Yeah.
7th level or the Sentinel still doesn't give me enough to be like, all right, I finally have a tier where I'm like, I got a bunch of useful stuff from the subclass. Currently get like a useful thing from the subclass, which or Abjure the Extraplanar, and then this kind of medium, most times it doesn't really matter that much feature that can, I don't know, lead to some middling results.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, find the silver lining.
Sure,
Not
it's
much of one.
definitely the Aura of the Sentinel is by far the worst feature we've talked about on these reviews. So it's still one of the worst devotion or auras, and I stand by that. We also got Vigilant Rebuke. So this is the 15th level feature. You've learned how to chastise anyone who dares wield beguilements against you and your words. I don't know why, but reading those 4 words were very tough for me. Whenever you or a creature you can see within 30 feet, if you succeed on an int or charisma saving throw, which hypothetically you've given them advantage on from Wander's Will, you can use a reaction to deal 2d8 plus your charisma modifier force damage to a creature that forced the saving throw. This is not a feature. It just isn't. You have no control over it. There will be many encounters this never has text. In encounters where there is 1 or 2 saves, you have 1 reaction around. So you, at most, in some encounters, can get 2d8 damage out of this per fight. Nope, that's not a feature. No,
Yeah,
thanks. Pass.
I was thinking the same thing. I read your written review of this oath, and yeah, you didn't seem as down on this as I was looking at it. Like 2d8 plus your charisma modifier, like, and that's if you're somebody's forced to make one of these saving throws, and if they succeed, that's barely happening. And when it does, 2d8 plus your charisma modifier at level 15.
They also have to use 30 feet of you.
Yeah.
I must have been feeling generous on the day and trying to find nice thing to say about the subclass. If I didn't, I would utterly tear into this one then. But like, yeah,
I mean,
I think Vigilant Rebuke is close to worthless.
Even here in this video, in this conversation we're having, I value this a lot less than I value Aura of the Sentinel. All right, not a lot less, but less. All right.
Yeah, I think I agree this is worse than Aura of the Sentinel. By a pretty fair margin, too. Like, it just, there's gonna be so many encounters it does nothing. And the encounters it can do something, it's gonna be at most 2 or 3 reactions to rebuke. And that is in ones of encounters per campaign, and that's not worth the 15th level feature.
Also, all right, let's be honest. Wisdom, charisma, or intelligence saving throw. Wisdom's the one we care about.
Yeah, by a fair margin, yes.
And yeah, those effects can be huge and debilitating. In that instance, I do not give a shit about the 2d8 plus my charisma modifier force damage. I care. Thank God I made that saving throw.
I'm not Crown of Madness. I'm not feeble-minded. I'm not any of these. I'm dominated person, right? Like, there's so many debilitating saves that the damage that you're dealing back is like gravy at that point. You're just like, we stood next to the Paladin and got the aura, so we passed the save. It's a miracle. And when I say the aura, I mean the aura that's in the base Paladin class, not the aura in this, because the aura in this doesn't help at all with those saves. We end on Mortal Bulwark, which is a 20th level feature that all these Paladins get. It starts with the bonus action. Love that. So you can use it as a bonus action. You get these effects for a minute. You get True Sight up to a range of 120 feet, which is neat. You get advantage on attack rolls against aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, and fiends. Cool. When you hit a creature with an attack roll and deal damage to it, you can also force it to make a charisma saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature is magically banished to its native plane of existence if it's currently not there. On a successful save, the creature can be banished for 24 hours. I love this feature. It also has text, so I should mention, once you use this bonus action, you can't again until you finish a long rest, or unless you expend a 5th level spell slot to use it again. So you get a use of it for free, and you can spend 5th level spell slots to get it again. I wish this had any text to help you do anything against non-elementals, Fey Fiends, and you know, those things. Celestials,
that's not what this oath is about.
Yeah, evidently. If it had any more text, I'd be all about this. In the encounters where you're against these things, this thing is sweet. This thing is really fun. You just be like, boop, you're gone. Boop, you're gone. Boop, you're gone. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing because that happens on a failed save.
Yep.
Oh no, wait. Oh no, I'm misreading that.
Yeah, they failed to save.
All right, yeah, all right. They failed to save. All right, yeah, never mind.
Yep. Plus, you advantage on all the attack rolls against them, which is cute. And you're a paladin, so whenever you crit, you can smite them. Very fun. There's a little bit of a non-bo because, like, it makes the save after it takes the damage. So you have to, like, commit to a smite before you banish it if you wanted to smite it. So you're kind of like, well, if it leaves, I don't really want to smite it right now. So I guess I'll wait. And then you don't do as much damage as you possibly could. But that's kind of a menial because you're still possibly removing them from the fight forever. It's like they don't come back. It's banished to its native plane of existence if it's currently not there. Period. It just happens. There's no coming back from that unless they have other means of planar travel, which I think it's such a cool top end feature for this archetype. Now, is it good? Well, against everything else, no. Against dragons, not even a little bit. Against undead, nope. Try again. Against, like, you know, I guess against Shadowfell undead specifically, it works. But against, like, the vast majority of other creatures in this game, this doesn't have anything to do.
Well, I mean, like I said at the beginning, if your DM says, all right, I need somebody to play Oath of the Watcher's Paladin, then yeah, this is going to be amazing because you can reliably expect these kind of creatures to be coming at you in droves. Otherwise, I don't know, it's kind of a gamble. Yeah, like you said, there it is a long list of creatures, and some of them will come by every once in a while, but it's nothing you can really count on.
And again, it's also just quickly notable, the creatures you hit don't have to be of the 5 types for them to be banished. So if you are dealing with extraplanar humanoids, if you are dealing with extraplanar undead, if you are dealing with extraplanar other creature types, this will work against them, which is, you know, cute little extra text.
Wait a second.
Are you double checking?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you get all it says is you have advantage attack rolls against the 5 creature types, and then it says when you hit a creature with an attack roll and deal damage to it, and then everything else is the banishment text. As long as it's not native to this plane, it goes away.
Oh, okay.
Now, most of the things that are not native to this plane are those 5 creature types. But again, undead is kind of the other one. Undead, most people run undead is just like they've been reanimated on the material plane. I don't see a lot of people that really play with the Shadowfell stuff, but that's hypothetically where they can originate and can come over to from. Like you go to there's an inverse of Neverwinter, like Evernight or something. It's a evil undead version of it in the Shadowfell. Hypothetically, ghouls and ghasts are spilling over, and you can send them back that way. That's really fairly niche, though. And even, like, if you can get this to work on the encounter, it's going to be sweet. And again, if you know, like you said, we're going to play against extraplanar enemies invading the material plane, this seems like a reasonable option for it. I would even say at those tables, though, again, if you're starting at level 1, I don't want to play 9 levels of this before it comes online. I don't. And it doesn't even come online in that like exciting of a way. You are going to be basically saying, I have one feature from this, and it's abjurely extraplanar up until I get counterspell. And then you're doing the anti-magic thing, kind of. Yeah, I don't love it. I think this is pretty clearly the worst of the oaths that we've covered so far.
Non-situationally, yes.
Yeah.
Got a grade?
D. It's not unusable, but it's pretty bad.
All right. I was thinking C minus, but D, because all right, I'm not gonna nitpick between this specific campaign and all the rest. Yes, all right, straight up C minus. I don't think it's.
I even think, like, in the specific campaigns where you would want to use this, there are better Paladin oaths just generally. Like, that will give you more things generally. That will be good against the things in that campaign as well. Right? Like, this isn't great at finding gates or anything.
I mean, this spell list alone blows. All right, you talked me down to a D.
Nice.
I owe this oath nothing.
Commenters, let us know if you think differently. Am I way undervaluing something like War of the Sentinel? I know people rate bonuses to initiative a lot higher than I do, but you know, hit me up. Tell me what you think about it.
That's just not enough to save an entire subclass for me, though.
No, definitely.
All right. Well, that was Oath of the Watchers. A little bit of a disappointment. I kind of hope this one will be really cool.
Yeah, whenever I was initially doing the reviews for them, I was really high, like, oh, this could be a really cool option. This is, you know, Protector of the Material. It's exactly it's a cool lane to take the Protector class. And then they just dropped the ball.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe and all that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.